young, I was too busy trying to figure out what I was going to do for myself until I found out and got in the real world how good I had it and how tough other people had it. I sometimes forgot where I came from because I didn't have a lot when I grew up. But when you start doing things, sometimes you forget. So a life lesson to me, I got a wake-up call. You know, hey, you need to give back more. And we do a ton of volunteering, giving back, and it isn't about telling everybody about it, it's just doing it. You know, that's the thing that counts. You know, a lot of people do it to get publicity about it. The most important thing is, and it's not a lot, is maybe it's just volunteering down to feed the homeless or whatever. That's important. That's important. So I'd encourage you to give back. I think that's something that's important in life. Take care of your family. Y'all have families. You know, maybe big, maybe small, maybe a brother, maybe a sister, maybe it's grandma, whatever it is. Take care of your family. Because let me tell you something. You'll argue, you'll fight, and all those kind of things. But at the end of the day, that's all you have. That's what you have in life is your family. And maybe it's a friend that's a part of your family. But, you know, again, you know, when I've gone through adversity and when I've had tough times, my wife's been there, my daughter's been there, my older daughter, and my mom. I've got a lot of people that claim they're my friends. And boy, I know the whole head football coach, but at the end of the day, my family was there. So remember, there's nothing more important than your family. The biggest thing is I think I've learned over the years, and I think it's important, is care about the person next to you more than you care about yourself. I think we'd all say that we live in an I society. Would you all shake your head if you think that? You bet we do. We live in, you know, in an I society. When I grew up, I remember on a Sunday afternoon, we'd go over to neighbor's house and we would eat and work and visit with them, and it was just a different time. You know, now if you go over to your neighbor's house, they want to know, well, what, you know, you help mow the lawn or something, they want to know how much you want paid. You know, well, it isn't about that. It's about taking care of each other. I talk to our players about that all the time, and I would talk to you about it, and I've talked to churches about it. Take care of the person next to you. Care about that person more than you care about yourself. If you do that, you're going to go a long way in life. Because at the end, you know, you want to be remembered as something, and to me, it's about giving back and taking care of people and caring about the person next to you. Don't get caught up in you all the time. And you'll go far in life if you do that. You'll be surprised. Loyalty. I've learned loyalty is one of the most important things you'll ever have. It's hard to find. It's harder to find this day and age. I can tell you that I've got guys that have worked with me for 16 and 17 years in the profession of coaching football and athletics at college level. That is unheard of. They're loyal. They would die for me, and I would die for them. You know, people work hard for Coach Kill. I'm going to give them everything I can to help them. I mean, I think that's the way I was raised, is loyalty. I've been married for 27 years. It's easy my wife will tell you she probably several times would like to get away from me, and I drove her nuts. But you know what? I'm a competitor, and I'm loyal. And we've been loyal for a long time, through the good times and the tough times. But loyalty is a missing thing that I have learned. There is nothing more important than loyalty. And if you can get yourself surrounded by people that are loyal to you and the vision and the cause that you're headed towards, it's a great thing. And it's important to me, and it's been a tremendous life lesson for me. Communication. We have lost that, in my opinion, communicating. When our players come in this building, young people, you go, oh, well, I don't want to be around that guy. No cell phones. I don't let them, when they come in here, they can't use a cell phone. You know, they can't text inside the building. If I catch them, I'm taking the cell phone. When we come inside this building, I want them to get to know each other. I want them to go to school. We have those labs down there to teach and get study halls. I want them to talk to each other. I get on my daughters all the time. They'll want them to be upstairs and want to be downstairs, and they'll text each other. That's the way the world is, and it drives me nuts. They'll tell you, I just go with that. My wife does that. I don't agree with it. I mean, I'm an old school person. I want to get to know you. I want to say, hey, how you doing? What's your name? Nice to meet you, Ryan. Good to see you. Look him in the eye and I know who Ryan is now. If I text him, how the hell am I going to know who Ryan is? You know what I'm saying? How you going to really get to know Ryan? What do you like to do, Ryan?
I'm studying political science.
Political science? Very good. Good for you. But that, to me, that's communication. I just communicate. You know, that's what I believe in. I don't, you know, it's something that I think is important, and I think we've lost that communication. I mean, we've got a football team that's going to have to communicate like crazy in front of 57,000 people. They're going to have to get 11 people on the same page, and they got to communicate. And I really firmly believe they struggle with it because they don't have to any other time, but they have to do it here. So I think it's a, you know, communication. Think about, we've got a good mixture of people in here. How many arguments there is in departments or businesses or organizations because there's no communication. I mean, I've got buddies who've been fired through a text. You know, hey, we just hired so-and-so and we let you go through a text because the person doesn't have the guts to come over and communicate, walk, and look them in the eye. You know, and I think communication is the key to leadership. I think it's the key to success. If you can communicate, I had to tell, we've got 25 or 30 kids that can't travel to Ames, Iowa. That's not easy for me to do. But you know what? I communicate, hey, Kyle, this is why you're not going. Okay? You're a good kid, you're a good player, you're not quite ready yet. This is what you're going to need to do. That's communication. If you don't, you got a mad player. Okay? It's no different than a teacher communicating with you as a student. You know, when I taught biology, I wanted to know who my students were. I wanted to help them. If they wanted me to stay after an hour after school, I'd stay an hour after school. I wanted to be a good teacher. I wanted to communicate with them. I wanted them to get it. I wanted them to be successful. So I think you have to do that. If you run an organization or you're part of it, that leader has got to be able to communicate what? The vision of what you're trying to do. So communication's key, and you can't do it over Facebook or Twitter and all that stuff. You got to do it face to face, eyeball to eyeball. How many people, you don't think, you know, I always talk to our kids about body language. You know, you go interview for a job or you talk to somebody and their head's down and they're talking to you. That's not a good deal. That's not a good impression. You know, again, it's about communicating. You got to communicate. You got to look somebody in the eye and communicate with them. You look somebody in the eye, you kind of get a feeling about that person. You know, you can't duck your head and do that. You can't do that through Facebook and all that stuff. So, you know, you can say, boy, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Probably don't. But that's what I believe. That's a life lesson for me, and I'm never going to lose that life lesson because I think it hurts doing the other things. The other thing I've learned is I grew up in a town of 2,000 people. Grew up in an old country town, you know. Grew up around pretty much the same type of people. First job I got was inner city high school. I can tell you right now, I can get along with inner city high school kids. I can go to the inner city. I can go to Mexico. I can go anywhere, and I can get along because where I taught my first year in inner city of Midwest City High School. I loved those kids, but I learned something. When I was going to high school in that town of 2,000 people, you judged people because you didn't see other people, different races, different views, different religions, different things. That's the great thing about going to college. You know, you're sitting in here, you're all different sitting in here. That's the greatest thing about going to college. You learn about people. But how many of you have judged people by the way they look? That's a life lesson for me. Don't judge people the way they look. Don't, you know, you're looking at me, you go, man, that guy's a bald-headed, little short guy. You look up there at my wife, you try to figure out, now, how did he get that guy? She looks like she's about 25. You know, you're judging me, trying to figure out how did he do that? You know, but the point being is that we all sometimes judge people before we get to know them. And that's not fair. It doesn't matter. I mean, Coach Klein, our string coach, his brother's got dreads down to about here. He's got an earring in his ear, and I think he went to Carleton University in Minnesota, very prestigious university, was a 4.0 in English. Okay, that's a prestigious university. And now he's living in Austria, married to an Austrian gal, and is living off the land and just doing all kinds of great things. And you would never know that. You look at him and you label him, hey, who's this guy? You know, this guy's a bum. He's intelligent, doing great things. You know, just different. Doesn't mean he's a bad person. He's a good person. So I think sometimes I learned in life when I was younger is that that's not how you do things. Because I think when I was younger, I made some decisions because of where I was surrounded in, and I was in my league. I can still go back to that town, 2,000 people, they ain't changed any. You know what I'm saying? They don't have a clue what I do. You know, I put them in this room, they go and shop, you know, because they've never been anywhere. I've lived in 6 different states, coached at 6 different universities. I've coached football for 27 years, and they've all been different kids, and that's what makes it great. I mean, just think if we could take the people in this room, and we could visit every day, and we're all different, and we talk like this every day, and just think if our country could do that. I mean, our country, we fight like cats and dogs over all these kinds of things, and, you know, and if we'd all just understand each other and communicate and do what I'm telling you, these life lessons, it'd be pretty easy. It'd be a lot better. It'd be a lot better, but sometimes we forget that. Number 9 is never quit. How many of you been told you